Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Thank you for joining our call today. This has been a fun call already, just really celebrating the friendships that we have here, the friendship that we have here in the Gratitude Call. Several things were mentioned in the rounds of gratitude that we do before we started the recording. Obviously, since today's New Year's Eve, a lot of anticipation of really amazing things to come, possibilities as we step into 2021, and celebrating warm gatherings that have happened over this holiday season and things like that. So lots of just celebrating with regard to what has happened. And 2020, somebody said surviving 2020 was something they were grateful for. So lots of celebration with regard to 2020, and then also looking forward to amazing possibilities in 2021. And I feel like 2021 is, for me, I know 2020 has been really a time of figuring out how to stay connected while we're apart, wearing masks, not being able to get together as much as with groups, and doing live events and things like that just have been become kind of a thing of the past. And so we've had to find different ways to connect with people. And I think to some extent, there's been a little bit of a hesitation to even like shake hands, give hugs, whatever, meet new people, invite new people into our homes. And so this idea of friendship has been like maybe deepening connections within family or whatever over Zoom or whatever, ways we have been able to do that in 2020. But, and which has been awesome. And I really feel like 2021 is going to be for those who choose it. For some people that scarce, that fear mentality of meeting people and connecting with people is going to carry with them into 2021. But I feel like, especially on this group, that's not going to happen. There's going to be an increase in open connection, and whatever 2021 brings in the world. I know this group, and I'm knowing, I know for the Lord's Way to Wealth group, the Seven Gateways community, and for our Architecture of Life mentoring, there's going to be an increase in friendshipping, in helping, us to find new ways to connect with people and to meet new people, to create a warm invitation, to have these warm, wonderful gatherings, memorable gatherings. I feel like 2021, that I'm just getting a sense of what 2021 is bringing for me and for those who are associated with me. And that's really what it feels like. So for today, I kind of wanted to give that whole background, because everything that has been shared in our rounds of gratitude is very valid, that 2021 is just, there's amazing possibilities and hope in the possibilities, like was mentioned in, I think Betsy was the one that mentioned that. But also celebrating this idea of friendship. And thank you, Colleen and Robert, for helping me to kind of formulate those words, celebrating friendship, with all that was shared, because we could have chosen so many different things to focus on today. But this idea of celebrating goes back, to what has happened in 2021 or 2020, excuse me. And also celebrating friendship is something we can carry forward into 2021 and really open our hearts, open our homes, open our minds, open our souls to be able to connect with more people and to create more deeper connections that we could call friendships, not just like people that we, touch base with on social media that don't even know that we exist, but actual friendships. And I know I've already been shown some things that can be created this year to increase that. And I'm just like so excited to be able to create these ideas that have been coming to me in my daily GPS. So let's go ahead and do our 90-second private silent meditation. I didn't even get my phone set up with my timer, so give me just a second to do that. Okay, so we've got our 90 seconds ready to go. Gratitude for celebrating friendship. I had friendships written down and I crossed out the S because that felt better. So that's what it's going to be. Gratitude for celebrating friendship. And I've got my 90 seconds set, and we're going to begin. Just write down whatever comes to you during this 90 seconds. Begin. All right. I thought of all the different ways that we can connect. Obviously, personal connection, one-on-one. We had a little gathering here last night for those who are on our live gratitude call, those who are local to me. We got together and did a pie night, and it was super fun to have people who had never met each other to be able to come together. And I saw tears. There were lots of hugs and nobody wanted to leave. It just was such a fun night. And I was just really, really grateful to be able to provide the space, the home, to be able to bring these people together. And for everybody that came, I'm pretty sure I've met everybody in person at least once. But there were a lot of people who had not met each other. And so that was really, really fun to be able to provide that space. And I realized as I was, there's, like I said, so many different ways that we connect. We've got Zoom, we have private message, we have social media, we have email. There's like so many different ways to connect nowadays, which is cool. These small groups is what really is my favorite. I don't have a huge home. It's just kind of a normal little rambler style, it's like 2,700 square feet. It's not huge. And we don't have a huge gathering space. But I love gatherings of, around 12 to 15 to maybe no more than 20 people. In the summertime, we can have 200. We've had 200 people in our backyard. We have a huge backyard, but our home is not super, large for gatherings in the wintertime. I love these small gatherings. I saw these, 4 or 5 women together, and I wasn't even really sure what they were talking about, but I could tell they were deep in conversation and sharing their gifts with each other. Tammy sharing her gifts with Jana, who had some questions. And it just was so, and Betsy being a part of that. And it was just so beautiful to feel the love that was just bouncing off of each other, in this little circle of women, and just brings a lump in my throat just thinking about it. And I realized that I used to judge myself for not wanting to do big, huge events. I spoke on stages to, upwards of even 800 people in an event one time. And I was totally fine speaking on those stages. But for me personally, I've always really resisted building these huge events with, 200 or 300 people or more. And I'm just, those of you have been with me for, several years, I have events at my home, or I've done retreats, where there's been like 10 or 12 or 15 people there. And to me, that is where transformation I can facilitate the transformation. I can see the transformation that's happening within the person. I can see where somebody needs something different, and I can alter and change, or shift or whatever is needed for each person to be able to have their best experience. And that is just the way that I prefer to work. And I remember judging myself for that, because I'd had mentors say, you need to do large events. If you're going to grow, if you want to touch more people, you've got to do large events. I had more than one person tell me that. And I just, as we're heading into 2021, and I'm getting more clear with my next step of how I get to touch people, it is going to be huge. And it's way more than 800 people. It's way more than 200 or 300 people at a time. And I realized that I'm here on the earth in this time specifically. And the way that I desire to bring friends together and to celebrate friendship is small groups. And now that we have, all these different ways to communicate, it can feel small, but it can be worldwide. And just like we do here on the gratitude call, it feels small, intimate, very intimate. When I say small, I'm not judging it as too small or anything. I'm just saying it's an intimate group, but it's also worldwide influence. And those are the two things that I love. And I never was able to put the pieces together before, how I could have small groups, because that's what I love, and have worldwide influence, because I know that is my calling. And now I actually see how that can be. And I'm so grateful that I didn't buy into this idea that I have to do something that was inauthentic to the way that I like to work, because there is a way, and I can do it in my naturally gifted way. And I can celebrate friendship in a way that is perfect for me. That was really long. Thank you for letting me share that. Colleen. Colleen, did you have something?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry, I couldn't get my phone to do what I wanted it to do.
You're
again.
Fine.
I was listening to a podcast just before the call, and it was on the guy that invented Operation, that little game, and the influence that he had. And this one guy that played it as a child actually invented something. So when they're operating on the thyroid, they get a loud noise if they get too close to the vocal cords, because it can really damage people's vocal cords. And that influence ended up coming back and blessing him in multiple ways. I mean, he just claimed bankruptcy, and people pitched out in for him to get an operation, and just the little teeny things. He did it as a high school student. He invented that operation game and only sold it for $500, and they really capitalized on that game. But anyway, he wasn't resentful at all. He just, just the free want to give some fun, and just you just never know. I mean, the remarkable ways that we're influenced, and it is amazing how, I went to lunch with my sisters yesterday to celebrate a year ago today. It was her birthday, and she lost my brother. So we went to lunch just, for her. And it just, I felt myself being a huge influence because they were really fearful for their grandchildren and what's coming up and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there, I'm not. I am so excited that I could get to see all of this creativity come out and play, and just, just with enthusiasm and hope. And I was sitting there, gosh, when I think of the Savior, and it says, there's so many things running through my brain. I've got to, calm it down. But when I think of the Savior and the influence that he had, but yet it was all for a purpose. And that purpose resonates in so many ways, just wanting to combine for the good and for the benefit, and not really caring the outcomes, just wanting to do good to all men. And, that phrase came up to me that in that song all week, and I'm just grateful for phrases. I'm grateful for little inspirations and just little bits of joy and enthusiasm. I'm so excited.
That's so cool.
It's amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And I found that, those who are on this call and are celebrating, starting their day with gratitude every day and celebrating together as friends in this type of a group, have this wonderful, just exciting outlook on life right now. It's like, wow, everything that's happening in the world right now is so cool and so exciting. And you could go through it with drudgery and feeling, all down and depressed and everything, and worried about the future and
Fear.
grandkids in fear. Yeah, we could go through life that way, and we can also go through with gratitude and joy and everything. And it's like, which one's going to make you happier? They're both true.
Yeah.
So I love that. Tammy has in the chat, my thoughts were regarding being in a space where I am continually rejuvenated, so that God's light and love is continually freely flowing through me. And I am continually giving that, sending that out to others and receiving that in return. So grateful for the experiences I'm able to have, and everyone, as we individually choose to live in love always. The depth of friendship that is created when we live within the love of God is incredible. So true. And, we can send love out to people and feel that bond of friendship, even if the person hasn't chosen to be a friend with us, or even if they don't even know who we are. We could send love out to groups of people or whatever, and we could celebrate the friendship that we are sending out, regardless of how people are receiving it. Thank you. Got Robert, Betsy, and then Kathy.
So friendship is, I don't want to say friendship is a lost art, because I haven't been around long enough to know how if it was any less difficult obtaining friends 100 or 200 years ago. But it seems that it could be because of history of connotations that come from friendship, the term friendship, because of how people talk about if you had one or two friends in your lifetime, you're doing lucky. And so I have to suspect that it goes deep into realizing that it's an art form. There was some, like my son, who goes, well, I don't have any friends. And it's like, well, have you been a friend? I used to tell the children, you don't have to talk to strangers, but you can always say hi. And because I would stare at people who would pass one another on the sidewalk, and they wouldn't even make eye contact to one another. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Two people who could walk by each other, not even utter a smile in their face or their eyes. And it reminded me also of a man who, this goes back a number of years, maybe 10-ish years ago, 10, 15 years ago, where a hole or a bomb or something had gone off on a plane and had sucked a seat out from an airplane 30,000 feet in the air. And the guy next to the one who got sucked out said, I didn't even introduce myself or say hi to him. And it was always very deep to me to sit on a plane and at least say hi, because
Mhm.
maybe I'll be sucked out, or or they will be, and I don't want to live in that regret to say hi.
Yeah, and even metaphorically, anybody that we're sitting next to or that we're walking past in the street, we don't know what that person is going through, and maybe they're having that feeling, I don't have a friend in the world. And if we can at least make eye contact, then it sucks them back in to the world, helps them to want to actually be in this world. If sometimes that's all it takes is just eye contact and a smile. And I think friendship, I read about some of the bond of friendship, of people giving their lives, for a friend in historical, books or whatever, in the early Americas, and, just different situations,
Yeah.
and on military, on the battlefield or whatever. And I think that, there is like this bond that, when we think about being a friend, that's the kind of bond that we're looking for, is someone who would just drop everything and come and rescue me if I needed it or whatever. And there are a few people that I could say in my life, very few, that I could say in my life. Actually, there's a lot. I think everybody on this call would do that for me. So it used to be that I would feel like there were hardly any, maybe one or two people that would do that. But now, actually, I'm really grateful that I said that, because now I'm actually looking at it. I was like, that's not true. There are a lot of people. And I think if we really allowed that to be, and it's like you said, be a friend. And I know that's I haven't been a hermit, just, holing up in my house and not talking to anybody. I've actually, throughout my life, have been out there meeting people. And I really think there's a lot of people that if we allowed that to be a possibility for us, there would be a lot of people that would be friends to us.
Yes. When you talked about, I believe, I'm not sure if you said the word rescue was the correct word, but it reminded me of he was a boy at the time who was standing on the Golden Gate Bridge, and he'd made a decision he was going to jump. And desperately, he was hoping that somebody would reach out to him.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody did reach out to him. If you could take a picture of me, of her and her husband.
Oh.
And he did, but he had tears running down his cheeks that he knew what he was going to do. And nobody reached out beyond, could you take a picture? And he did. He took the picture, and then he jumped.
Oh, wow.
He wrote a book about it because he survived, probably because of his
Wow.
age and how he hit the water, but he survived to tell the story, how he ultimately made it into the Survivors Club from that experience. But it was that lack of that desperation that so we silently cry out, help me.
And isn't it interesting that he judged? I mean, it's possible that God actually sent that couple to him to say, could you take a picture of me? Because he was asking for someone to reach out to him. And isn't it interesting how we judge how someone has to reach out to us? Oh, it's not enough that they just asked to take a picture. Isn't that interesting?
It really is. And I don't know the complete story. He wrote a book, and I haven't heard his book,
Yeah.
but I had written. But that's from what I had heard from what he had said.
Yeah.
That was the story. And I just thought that was always interesting about friendship.
It is interesting. And again, kind of back to my thought that, typically we think, oh, there's very few people. But really, in reality, I think there are a lot of people.
I think so, too.
Awesome.
In a lot of cases, that's why I'm writing the book, is to reach out to people and
go.
say, hi, I
Thank
know
you.
what you're going through. I've been there.
Exactly. And that's what people want to know, I think, when they're seeking for friendship, is to know that they're not alone.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you sharing those. Betsy and then Kathy.
So yeah, I really love the opportunity of celebrating friendship, especially after seeing friends and strengthening friendships last night. And really, the deepest of friendships is a loving feeling, and it's us allowing others in, and then the sincerity of really sharing with each other without any judgment, that interest, that respect, that like we're all in on the deepest levels. When you're really spending that time, there is no time, and it's such a natural exchange.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Really seeing each other as beautiful divine souls, and as the worth, as God sees them in divinity.
Yes.
And I thought also of the friendship between my mom and dad, who are celebrating their very first Christmas together in heaven. And that has been my theme and my love and my joy these past couple weeks. I don't long for them. I don't say the words, "Oh, I'm really missing them this Christmas," or "I wish I could reach out," or there's no angst. There's just like, wow, they get to celebrate Christmas together in heaven. This is their first Christmas together. And I think when someone passes in our life, or when there's a grief from a loss of a relationship, is we go through that, oh, well, they get to have a reunion. Like that's the first thing that we say. And we're kind of that quick happy, but then we go into a place of missing them and longing. And if only we could think that, wow, this is their celebration in heaven of their anniversary or of their earthly birth, or, and we really can put ourselves in that friendship place of
Mm,
celebrating for
for
them,
them. Hmm.
instead of that selfish, oh, I miss them, I wish, and that's what grief, and not to say that that process of grief is bad. I mean, definitely feel the feels,
Hmm.
but just that higher respect, and I'm happy for your joy instead of I'm jealous for your joy, or I mean, it's just this beautiful higher place. And I
Wow.
was thinking, do I want to have a word for 2020? And been kind of thinking about it, and I updated a little piece of my vision board, and it's like so perfectly aligned, because I think the word is going to be surrounding communities, or maybe a phrase. And so I wrote, I love words. And so I wrote, I love that I attract beautiful soul friends and an awesome community, all loving our true colors.
Beautiful. I
Um,
love that. Yes. That's
that really
a
resonates with
mhm.
celebrating friendship, right? All kinds
Yes.
of friendships and relationships.
Yes. I love that. Thank you. I love that idea also, when you think of being a true friend, of being able to celebrate their success. Um, I love that idea of kind of taking myself out of the picture. And I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about, where there are situations where a friend gave, we'll even think of like Christ gave his life for his friends, for everybody on the earth. And that the true friend um, would be happy for the other person, would celebrate the other person's success instead of having that selfish, oh, I wish that was my success, or I wish that they would stay down here with me, or whatever. That's a new concept. That's a new way of looking at friendship. So thank you. I mean, it's not a new way of looking at friendship, but it's kind of a higher level of looking at friendship, to be that kind of a person. Thank you for me.
Yes, higher. I totally am aligned with that. And especially when I was able to just really go to celebrating, mom and dad and having a Christmas in heaven, and what that must
Wow.
be and look like. And
And with Christ.
right,
So
exactly. Yeah.
awesome.
And really get the whole story kind of thing, and
Yeah, that's way
how
cool.
beautiful that is, and really celebrating the other person and allowing them to be them and us to own what we own. And yeah, there's a beautiful connection and friendship, but yet that allowance in their being and feelings and joying and allowing those too.
Yeah, I love that. And, definitely, like you said, it's part of the process to grieve and to miss, and that's definitely appropriate. And I think also, just I'm comparing this to like a person that's still here with us on earth and they had some sort of success, and you can celebrate with them and celebrate for them and celebrate them. And then also have it be inspiring for you, for me to be even better because of their success. They, that quote of automatically giving permission for me to become my best when they've experienced some success. Thank you. Kathy.
Wow, I'm feeling like Colleen with so many thoughts running through my head and friendships from the past and things that people have brought out that have made me think about friendships in different ways. And when Robert was talking, it just reminded me of the beautiful Christmas story, It's a Wonderful Life. Best Christmas story ever about suicide and how that paralleled the story he was telling. And the gift in that show of imagining what would this world be like without me, and then following that with what Betsy was saying, the eternal perspective, eternal friendships that were maybe even started in heaven before we came to this earth, and how we will celebrate when we return together. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. These last couple of days have been really emotional for me for some reason. I had a friend that reached out to me and said, let's do a Facebook Live. And I just was touched. And I just couldn't get my composure. I'm like, yeah, we'll do that, but not today. So what a friend. But another story that was really coming up strongly for me. My mother-in-law, she had a friend call her and say, my husband's in the hospital. Can you come? And she dropped everything and she ran to help just to be with her through this trial. And her husband did end up dying. But when the doctor came out to talk to this woman, she introduced my mother-in-law as her best friend.
Oh.
And it just kind of took her back because she hadn't realized. She didn't even, she knew that they were friends, but best friend, what a title that we can give people. And it really cemented that friendship, just her being there when her friend needed her. And they had been friends for many years. They'd worked in a library setting together and laughed and laughed and laughed at least once a week. So they were really good friends, but to be given that title of this is my best friend. And I really thought about that because I so appreciate and admire people who celebrate longtime friendships. My sister-in-law said that she has best friends from grade school and kindergarten and just all of that are just still her friends today. And people who can, they haven't seen each other for a really long time and they get together and it's just, they pick up where they left off and just enjoying each other's company so much. But I was also thinking about knowing what friends' love languages are so that we can celebrate them in more meaningful friendship ways. And I realized that that's been kind of a drawback not really a drawback, but I realized that there are some limiting beliefs there because just like my mother-in-law, we have friends that we don't always know how people view us. And so acknowledging friendship, I think is really awesome. And there were a bunch of other things, but I think that's just celebrating being here and now on this earth together all at the same time. And who knows how many friends that we had in heaven but here in this life with our insecurities of not knowing and just having that veil. But the other thing that was really coming up, there are at least 5 books that I would refer about friendship, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and Confidence and Power in Dealing with People. And one of those 2 books I was recently reading about this, the author actually was, I think it was Confidence and Power in Dealing with People. He was talking about a roommate in college that was just so open and friendly. And he was just like, how does he do it? So he talked to him and got his secrets. And he's like, you just imagine that everybody is your friend. And then you're not worried about what they think or I just is how we show up for people. There's just, I feel like I've been studying friendship for so many years. And yet I still look at how deep are my friendships, and
Oh,
what do I really, and what power and influence we do have over each other. I remember many stories of the influences that my friends have had on me in changing my way of thinking about different things. And I just found myself wondering, do my friends really know that they are my friends? Because we have Facebook and there's tons of friends. Oh yeah, I have a whole bunch of it, but how close are we? So I think that's been a huge goal of mine, is to just really have more meaningful, deeper relationships with friends, and being more friendly and not worrying about the cost of it, but just showing up for each other.
I love that. Thank you. And in a way, we call our Facebook friends. In a way, even that has helped to kind of muddle this idea of friendship. Saying I have 5,000 friends is very superficial in that regard. And, when we think about the title of best friend, like you said, and how deep and poignant that when we hear that title bestowed upon us, how meaningful that is. And, how important it is for us to share that with people, to let people know that they are friends, that we see them as a friend. Because that, I imagine that if that young man on the Golden Gate Bridge had imagined that everyone was his friend, he wouldn't have been standing on the Golden Gate Bridge ready to jump off. If he had imagined that everybody in the world was his friend, instead he imagined that he had none. And how powerful that is, that we have the choice to be able to imagine that everyone is our friend, and we can bestow that title upon people and have it feel so much more meaningful than just, as a Facebook friend or something like that. Such beautiful
There was
words.
another story that really came up for me, because I feel like that I have a lot of friends, and there are many people that I can say I love you. I said that to somebody. I was in the presence of my sister. She doesn't see herself as having a lot of friends, but she questioned me afterwards, and she's like, when you say I love you to everyone, it makes it less meaningful for some people. And I just thought about that. I mean, that was her perception.
Right.
And so, but we can
Glad
call
you
everybody
realized
friends.
it was her perception.
Yeah. But I was trying to really tell her that Jesus said, love everyone. So everyone should be our friends. And what we bring out in each other. And it was just really, so the kind of the Facebook analogy, it's like, yeah, we have all of these friends that we can call friends, but what are we doing for each other, and how are we building those deeper friendships with even Facebook friends? I mean, liking things that they post, noticing things, but we really do get to choose our friends and who we spend time with, and how we develop those friendships.
Awesome. Lots of really great thoughts. We are going to go ahead and shift over to our permission process. And I encourage you all to continue this conversation on our Facebook group, Breakthrough with Gratitude. We would love to continue our discussion about friends and friendship and best friends and wanting to celebrate other people's successes and all these things that we have discussed and more. So we'd love to continue that conversation. Go ahead and take a deep breath and allow yourself to just be open to know, with all of this discussion that has happened, and maybe you've already received some inspired shortcuts, maybe you've already received some limiting beliefs, and just be open for it all. Just open yourself to feel who maybe you can reach out to and bestow the title of friend or best friend or lifelong friends. Make someone's day by bestowing that title. And also any limiting beliefs that you have coming up about friendship, celebrating friendship, best friends, friends that you have, friends that you can depend on, opening yourself to friendship, whatever it is, just listen for those limiting beliefs. And of course, if there is a limiting belief coming up for you, you want to also examine the cost of that limiting belief. Is that going to serve you? Is it going to help you feel and imagine that everyone is your friend? Is it going to allow you to be open to have that pure love of Christ, that charity for every single person on the earth, as has been recommended to us by him and by the scriptures? What's the cost of that limiting belief? And if it's not going to serve you in helping you to become a friend and to feel like others are friends to you, then you can give yourself permission to choose a new belief. And so if you're ready to give yourself permission to choose a new belief, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So go ahead and choose 2 or 3 new beliefs that will take the place of that old limiting belief and will allow you to be a friend, to open yourself to friendship, to be able to share and express your feelings openly about these friends, will allow you to step into pure love, the love of Christ and the love of God that goes beyond what earthly understanding might be. What new beliefs are going to serve you? And then bringing those new beliefs in, go ahead and take another deep breath and bring those new beliefs into your body. Allow these new beliefs to become part of your identity. So if someone were to observe you from the outside, this is how they would describe you. Wow, Kathy loves everyone. She says, I love you to everyone. I would love to be that way. I'm going to say I love you more often. What new beliefs, or bring those new beliefs into your body so that they shine forth and others see who you are based on these new beliefs. And what is the inspired shortcut today? What is the number one most important thing that you could do today to really embody these new beliefs? Is there one particular person that you need to reach out to, or is it a way that you get to be as you just go about your day? Is there a new skill that you get to develop? What is the inspired shortcut? What's your one most important thing? And maybe it won't make sense. Maybe it's like cook dinner tonight. You're like, how does that help? But even that, you can see how that would actually increase this feeling of friendship, celebrating friends, celebrating friendships. Let's take one more deep breath, put a smile on your face, and just feel this feeling of friendship, and know that right here on this gratitude call, there is a feeling of friendship, and you're part of that. You bring that feeling of friendship to this group. And you deserve to feel it as well. Friendship from others. And we are at the end of our time, so I won't be opening it up for shares, but I do want to just invite you again to go to the Facebook group, Breakthrough with Gratitude, share your thoughts there. And if there's anybody that is feeling like they need some extra support in this area, whether it be to feel friendship or to be a better friend, to open yourself to be a better friend, or just to celebrate others and their successes, or whatever it is that you're struggling with, I would love to have a 15-minute conversation with you. And all you have to do is just go to askwylene.com, and that will take you directly to my calendar, and you can schedule that 15-minute call. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful, happy New Year's Eve, and we will be back together tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time. So don't stay up too late and join us again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for being my friend.
Thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
Thank
Love you
you.
too.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, wylenebenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.